So when we taxi into our gate and I set the parking brake, I look over to my first officer and I say, place both fuel control switches to cutoff. At that point, the co-pilot does that, places them both to cutoff. The engine's now shut off, and I finish the rest of my secure checklist, and I go back and I greet the passengers at the door. That's something that happens on every flight. That's not something that happens while the airplane is airborne. Now, according to the Wall Street Journal and these other Air Current and Reuters and the others, they're saying that fuel was cut off manually at the fuel control switches. Both fuel control switches were in the cutoff position shortly after takeoff. So let's answer some objections to that. Is it possible that there's a procedure where that could take place? Well, the answer to that is yes and no. There are procedures where the pilots would, in flight, turn one of, or in some cases both, fuel control switches to cutoff. Let me explain the first situation. If you were to lose a single engine, and the Boeing 787 flies just fine on one engine, even with the gear down, or if the flaps were retracted prematurely. In fact, the Air India pilots went into the simulator and tried all of those scenarios. We did a video, I think, about 10 days ago, where we talked here on this channel about several of the theories of how this airplane could have lost both engines. The Air India pilots went into the simulator after that and tested all of those scenarios. And with a total electrical failure, a total hydraulic failure, they could not induce a dual engine failure from those two things. Even with the flaps brought up prematurely and the gear down on one engine, the airplane still flew out.